Hey, what's up? So there is something called JSON schema. So JSON schema is a vocabulary that allows you to annotate and validate JSON documents. And the cool thing about this is a set of specification that has implementations in different languages. So if you go to this tab, you will see these are the list of languages that exists or has implementation of these specifications. So we have Python and JavaScript, Rust, C, .NET, C++. And the cool thing about this, it gives you very easy and very flexible way to validate almost any shape. I have never faced a case where I couldn't validate the data shape or the JSON shape with this package or with this specification. And the second cool thing that we can actually share the validation between the front end and the back end. So in this series, I'm going to focus on validating data. And I'm going to make them as hard as I can. I'm going to show you different styles to do that. I'm going to show you custom errors and stuff like this. I will try to make it as complex as it gets and as realistic as it gets. But in this first video, I'm going to give you a small introduction and I'm going to show you how we can share a single validation rules between two languages like JavaScript and Python. I'm going to start with Python. So if you click here, you'll see these are the packages that implement this JSON schema specifications. I like this one, JSON schema. I'll put link in the description for it. It has 3K stars. So first thing, let's create our project. I'm gonna create a folder called JSON. I'm gonna copy the schema because I keep typing it wrong. So Python, JavaScript, YouTube. I'm gonna cd into that and so this will be a Python project and an npm project. So I'm gonna do npm init -y to answer everything like with the default answers. I'm just gonna init that. And to make it like a paper project or Python project, I'm gonna use the virtual env, which creates a virtual environment for this Python project. I like to use virtual env because it will work in, I believe, in any Python version, which is very nice. So in Windows, I'm gonna do this. So Python. Yeah, before that, I'm gonna show you my Python version. Oops. So Python, I'm using 3.9. You can use anything you want. So Python module virtual env. You can call it anything you want. I'm gonna call it env. If you want to specify or if you have different versions of Python with different aliases, I think you can type -p, which you are telling it, hey, I want to use specific Python version and give it the alias, for example, Python 2. But yeah, I will use the default one. I will call my virtual environment VNV. Virtual environments in Python is a little bit similar to the Node modules. So you won't install everything globally. Each project will have its own versions of any package, which is very nice. It's a little bit different from Node modules, but at the end they achieve the same goal, which is very nice. So yeah, now I will create a file called main.python. So this actually installed this JSON schema. But if you open your terminal and just type pip install JSON schema, this won't actually, this will install it globally. You want to install this here inside this virtual environment, inside this folder. So you need to activate your virtual environment in this terminal session. In Windows, you will type the following. So just go to VNV, scripts, activate, and that's it. So as you can see, the virtual environment is now activated. In Linux, you will type source, the name of your virtual env. Now you'll type binary, then activate. Activate. This will activate that. Even if you are on Mac, this will do the same thing. But this is the case in Windows. And the second thing, you need to tell your IDE or text editor which Python interpreter or virtual environment you are using. In Visual Studio Code, you will click on this icon here on this text. And you will click find, go there, go to scripts, select Python. And as you can see now, it understands that we are looking at this one. And actually, it created this one to just point to that. And yeah, so to continue, let's actually now install this one, and it's here. So pip install JSON schema. You will see actually this package being installed here in this folder, which means we are actually installed it locally, not globally, on the project level. As you can see, here it is, with other dependencies. So let's make this quick. First thing, I will define I'm used to JavaScript. So list, I'm gonna end this with underscore because list is a preserved word in Python. This is a function that converts iteratable into lists. So I'm gonna put just underscore there. This will be an equal to a list of dictionaries. So name will be my name, and age will be my age, 23, and salary will be equal to 100, and second one will be name will be Iman. This is an Arabic name. It means faith, same thing. And now 24, and that's it. Now name will be Sarah, and age will be 35. So let's actually write a JSON schema validation rules to validate this. I'm gonna create a file called schema. I keep typing that wrong, so I'm gonna just copy paste it. Schema.json. So let me show you the validation or the schema that we would like. So first thing, we are gonna validate a list. So the type of that would be array. So this, like this, you are telling the JSON schema specification that we are validating an array. And each array, we need to specify what we are validating in each object in the array or in each element in the array. To do this, we will define the items properties, the items property, and inside of it, we will define the shape of each item in the array. So first thing, I'm gonna give it a type. So the type of each property, the type of each element in the array will be an object, right? If you think about it, if you think about it in JSON, this represents an array of objects. So each item will be an object in this array. And we need to define properties. So these are the properties inside each object. So the first property will be name. This will be of type string, and we need to have like a min length of 1, a max length of 40, and then the second one is the age. So we need to define type integer, min mum will be 1, and maximum will be 40, or 99. I think this is fine. Now salary, this will be just of type number, like this. And there is a difference between integer and number. We will come to that eventually. But this is basically it. But extra stuff from the properties, I'm gonna put the required properties in each object, because remember here we only have the 3 properties in this object or this dictionary, but in these 2 the salary does not exist, but everything here is valid. So we need to create JSON schema for these. So the required properties in each object will be an array like this. So the name and the age. So the salary is not required, so it's fine to not have it. And if, for example, the user have like something extra, date of birth, like this, so we need actually to throw an error if we find anything extra than these 3 properties that we defined, the age, the name, and the salary. To do this, we will add this property. So additional, I think I will write this in a wrong way, so I'm gonna just copy it character by character, like this. So this will be false. This actually tests our code. First thing, we need to import our JSON schema here as a JSON file. So I'm gonna use with open, like this. I'm gonna get this name file, the name of this file as if, and now I'm gonna create a value or variable called schema, and I'm gonna assign it to this file data parse. So I'm gonna import load from JSON. So just load, or from JSON import load. I think some people just do import JSON and down they will put JSON.load, but I think both ways are fine. I'm gonna put here if. So now we have our schema. This import actually from the JSON schema, which is an implementation for the JSON schema specification in Python. We're gonna import the draft 7 validator, and I'm just gonna create a value called validator equal to this, and I'm gonna give it the schema like this, and I'm gonna print the validator dot give me an iterator of each error when you validate this list. But since this is an iterator, we need to convert it to a list. I will do this. So let's now try to actually run this code. So Python main.py, you will see we have additional properties are not allowed, which is date of birth. So our validation actually works, or this property actually works. So let's now try to remove it. So an empty array. In this case, there is no errors. So let's try actually make some of these not valid. So -1 the age, and this will actually be super long. So let's actually test this. So -1 is less than of the minimum, which is 1. But for some reason, this actually does not throw any error. I think because I have a typo here. Is the max length? I believe maybe that's actually, yeah, because this was less than 40. So as you can see, we have the error for each property that we actually added an invalid data for. But in the future, I will show you how we can actually get this in a very good way, in a very beautiful way, and very user-friendly way. So for example, if you only have your validation on the backend, maybe the front end will like just display the error messages that you will format using the JSON schema specification using this package, JSON schema. So this is it in Python. Let's actually use this same exact rules in JavaScript, and I'm gonna run it in Node.js context, but it will work in the front end. You can import JSON files if you are using Webpack by default. Even if you are using like React or Angular, you can import JSON files, and you can install any of the specification implementation in JavaScript in the front end. So the most famous one, which I really like and I usually use, is AJV. So I'm gonna install that. I think it says here that it works on the browser as well. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it works. Yeah, maybe I'll show it to you on the end of the video because I used it. Yeah, so as you can see, it supports browsers and Node.js, X, and above. So let's actually, since this is also a Python project and an NPM project, we can actually do npm install AJV. And let me create an index.js, and let's do the following. So AJV, like this, will be equal to require AJV, and I wrote that incorrectly. Now const schema will be equal to require. You can actually load JSON files and they will be parsed in JavaScript, which is very nice. So const AJV will be equal to new AJV instance. That's it. So new like this. Now const array. Let's define an array. Same stuff. I'm just gonna copy these, and I'm gonna use a prettier to format them. Very cool extension, by the way, called the prettier. You can actually install it in the package.json and add git hooks to format the code before actually committing changes. I might do a video on that, but yeah, let's just continue. So const validate, will be equal to AJV.compile. For some reason, you need to compile your schema. Now let's actually validate our array. Now console.log the validation or the validate.errors like this. This will give us all the errors. So let's actually test that. So node, you can type dot. By dot it means, hey, run the index file in this current directory. Or you can do this. Both things work. So node dot, as you can see, these are the errors. So, but in AJV, it gives us these errors in a much better way. As you can see, it gives us everything we need. So what I'm gonna do here is the following. Or sorry, what I'm missing here is all the errors. As you can see, we should also see here an error. So to do that, we can get it by adding all errors to true. For some reason, it will only give you the first error it found, but to skip that or to tell it to give you everything, you will put this flag here in an object. As you can see now, we have both errors in the same way we have it in Python, both errors. But here it's much more descriptive, so we need to fix that in Python. But the main thing to understand here that we actually wrote these validation rules only one time, and it will work on JavaScript and Python, and it will also work on the browser. So just install AJV, import it using ES6, import AJV from AJV. This will work on the browser if you are using Webpack and stuff like that, or if you are using web modules, which is something new and nice. So yeah, this will still work, and you can import JSON files if you are using Webpack, for example. So yeah, this is it as an introduction. We will keep exploring this and adding much more complex examples and handling much more complex data structures, not like just this one. And this will be it. Bye.